Hello, this is Nirmala, Associate Professor and Head, the Faculty of Arts and Science, Department of Visual Communication, Bharat Deemed University. Today, let us discuss about social psychology, and the topic for discussion is Introduction to Social Psychology. And psychology, it studies the human mind and behavior, and social psychology is one of the disciplines. It's a subcategory, subtopic under the psychology. Psychology is divided into various subfields such as human development, sports psychology, clinical psychology, and cognitive psychology. So under psychology, it is one of the fields which studies human behavior and feelings in a social situation. And introduction to social psychology. So today I'm going to discuss about the definition, introduction to the subject, and psychology and life skills and perspectives of psychology, like biological approach, psychodynamic, behavioral, cognitive, and humanistic approaches in psychology. So let us start with the definition. So social psychology is a scientific study of how we feel about, think about, and behave toward the people around us, and how our feelings, thought process, behaviors are influenced by other people. So you can easily understand the definition. So what are our feelings, how we behave in a society. So we live in a society, we need to communicate with other people. We cannot live alone. Yeah, for survival, we need others' help. From the childhood, we need our parents' support for our basic needs such as food, shelter, clothing. And later stages, we need the society, friends, and even when you attend the school or college, you need the support of your friends. You need the support of the authorities such as principals and the teachers. So you need other people's support for our survival as well as for our emotional needs. So this particular subject studies how we behave in a society with other people and how others' behavior influence our behavior. So social psychology is a study of how people influence and relate to each other across different social situations. And so there are also some of the definitions I have given here. Social psychology is a study of social situation. Social psychology is a study of the social behavior. So it was also the study of group processes, how we behave in groups and how we feel and think about one another. Okay. Then who introduced this particular topic, social psychology? Who created this? So the person name called Kurt Lewin, he's known as the father of social psychology. You can see the picture. So he only introduced the term or he created the ideas of this particular discipline. One more person in the field of psychology is Gordon Willard Allport. You can see the picture here. And Kurt Lewin is a father of social psychology, and Allport is an American psychologist. He was a one who focused on the study of the personality, and he only the person who figured that personality psychology, the public. Okay, let us see what is person and the social situation. So as I mentioned, so we are living in a society from the childhood and towards the end, we need others' support for our survival. And so in our society, so we surrounded with various relationships, family relationship, friends relationship, and then official relationships are there for work. And we live in a particular culture, we live in a particular environment. So all these factors affects our behavior. So our behavior are influenced by other factors also. Sometimes some inborn characteristics are there, which is learned from your parents or maybe in your gene. So So as well as your inborn characteristics plus the culture and the environment also influence in your behavior. So we live in India and our culture is different, and we live in South India and Tamil Nadu and the culture is different here. If you go to North, their culture is different. Their behavior will be different. So we are influenced by the culture and the environment. So culture environment definitely plays a role in the behavior. And next to culture and environment, relationship and groups. So we behave differently in a different group. If we are in a friends group, definitely your behavior will be different. You will be jovial, you will be free to talk. There will be informal communication happens between among the group members. But if it is formal communication, such as you are in a college or in a office, then the communication and behavior definitely will be different. So the behavior will be changed based on the group and the relationship, and then also based on your thought processes. So when you behave, your thoughts and feelings going on your mind. So based on that, your physiological, your expressions, your hormones also changes. Say for example, you're attracted to another person, suppose a man attracted to a woman, and when he tries to talk with that particular person, definitely his physiological changes may happen. So then your behavior will be different. So these factors definitely influence the behavior of humans. So our social situations create social influence, the process through which other people change our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and through which we change their feelings. Okay. So social psychologists believe that human behavior is determined by the person's characteristics as well as the social situation. Sometimes social situation is stronger influence than the person's characteristics. So behavior is person's characteristics as well as the social situation. Okay, what are the main areas of study in social psychology? So some of the main areas are social thinking, social behavior, and social influence. So I have given these three subdivisions here. Social thinking. So it is about the judgments and perception. So each person have their own perceptions, own judgments. That is social thinking. It's going on in your mind. It's an unconscious part of your mind, which sometimes help you in communication. Okay. Then social behavior, as I said, it is biologically rooted and how you behave, the way you express yourself, the way you talk, how your body movements, everything shows your behavior in the society. So then the social influence, the environment, the external factors that how influences you to in your behavior, the personality and attitude and the social relationships and the situation, power of the situation, all matters. Those are the external factors which influence your behavior. Social influence. So it's an umbrella term for the different outside factors that may cause an individual to think or act in a particular way. Some external force induces you to behave in a certain way. That is called social influence. So it is a process through which other people change their thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and through which we change theirs. Also, social influence creates social norms. So what do you mean by social norm? The ways of thinking, feeling, or behaving that are shared by group members and perceived by them as appropriate. So, for example, in a religion, maybe in a Hindu or Christian or a Muslim, they behave in a certain way. The group behaves, they perform certain things in a particular way, they follows it. So that is a social norm followed by a particular group of people. So norms include customs, traditions, standards, and rules, as well as general rules of the group. We obey that particular norms. We learn from the group members. So social norms also influences to behave in a certain way. There are norms about almost every possible social behavior, and these norms have a big influence on our actions. What are the three primary social influences? Conformity, compliance, obedience. Conformity is a type of social influence. Conformity occurs when individuals alter their actions or belief to gain the acceptance of a group. Suppose you want to be in a group, so you just observe the group members and you try to behave like them. So you yourself change your behavior slightly to fit into that particular group. That is called conformity. And compliance is, suppose your friend or your well-wisher, you want to behave in a, insist you, or they ask you for a favor, then you try to behave in a certain way. That is called compliance. So through their influence, you are trying to behave in a certain way. That is called compliance. And obedience is an authoritative figure. Authoritative figure such as your, if you are working in an organization, your higher authority, a manager or a CEO, so other persons will influence you to behave in a certain way. So whatever orders they give, you definitely obey it for the sake of your job, and you will behave in that particular way. So obedience is a form of social influence where an individual acts in response to a direct order from another individual who usually an authority figure. Okay, then what is the difference between the conformity and obedience? So obedience occurs when you're told to do something, and conformity, actually you alter yourself to fit in a particular group. So nobody insists you to do that, but you yourself changes your behavior to fit into a particular group. Okay. So how social psychology and human values are connected? So how values influence psychology? So sometimes values influences the psychology as well. It influences your disciplinary actions, and cultural shared beliefs will have some kind of perception in your mind. This actually also influences you. Human values also influence your behavior. So ethical perspectives are there. So you follow certain ethical rules. So that influences your behavior. So we understood that social psychology, it studies the behavior of human behavior, their feelings and thought process. So this includes the study of attitudes, aggression, culture, prejudice, interpersonal forces. Also, this social psychology, it studies the self-concept, social cognition, attribution theory, discrimination, and stereotypes. Okay, can I ask now why we need to study social psychology? What is the importance? So if you understand the social psychology, definitely you will be a better person in the society. You can understand yourself better, and also you'll understand another other person whom you are talking. You'll understand better, and you will behave in a proper way according to their wish or according to their interest. Okay. So understanding social psychology can be useful for many reasons. You can better understand how groups impact our choices. It also allows us to gain acceptance, appreciation in the society, and also to have a to play a good role, to play a leadership role. It helps you in many ways. So it is important to know that social psychology is not just about looking at social influences. Social perception and social interaction is also vital in understanding the social behavior. Okay. Okay, let us see about social perception in detail. And social perception, it allows the individual to make judgments and form impression about others. So when you see a person, the way he talks, the dressings and other things, you have some kind of judgments. So in the earlier slide, I have explained that social thinking, social behavior, social influence. Under social thinking, the judgments and perceptions happen. When you see a person, we immediately have a certain kind of thought process going on in our mind. So that makes the impression. So there is a quote that first impression is the best impression. So whenever you go for a interview, you always dress up neatly, and the way you behave, the way you talk, make so you make others to. I mean, you will impress others. So in social psychology, social perception is one of the main topic. It studies how individuals make judgments and form impressions about other people. So, social perception refers to the first stage in which people process information in order to determine another individual's or group's mindset and intentions. Okay, these early stages help us interpret each other's action so that additional information can be quickly inferred in order to predict behavior. So this is the stage when we decide our friends and others. Okay, so when you first day you're attending a college, you're meeting people over there, and behavior, their way of talk, their way of dress, and other things may impress you, and based on the impression, we become friends with those people. That is the first stage happens in everyone's life. So social perception also influences the social behavior, influences an individual's behavior and also the attitudes. Let us just discuss the key points now. So social psychology study real world problems using a scientific approach and thinking about your own interpersonal interactions from the point of view of social psychology can help you better understand and respond to them. And social psychology study the person situation interaction, how characteristics of a person as well as the social situations determine the behavior, and many human social behaviors have been selected by evolutionary adaptation, and social situation creates social norms, shared ways of thinking, feeling, behaving, and cultural differences are also influences in our everyday behavior. So these are the key points in the introduction to social psychology. Okay, let us move on to the next topic, perspective. Okay, let us see the key points again. And the social psychologist, Gordon Allport, he defines social psychology as an attempt to understand and explain how the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors of individuals are influenced by the actual imagined or implied presence of others. So I have already mentioned all the definitions, and the social psychology is usually considered a subfield of psychology or sociology. It is a subfield of psychology or sociology. Social psychologists focus on individuals' mental process, while sociological social psychologists focus on societal factors. Okay, they focus on society, and psychological focus on individuals' mental process. And social psychologists research the factors that lead to people to behave in a given way in the presence of others and the conditions under which certain behaviors and feelings occur. So some areas of research include attribution, perception, conformity, group dynamics, and interpersonal attraction. So social perception, it refers to the first stage in which people process information in order to determine another individual's or group's mindset and intentions. Okay, I hope you have understood the basics of psychology, the definitions, and the key areas in psychology, and the main topics in the psychology. Okay, I'll repeat that social psychology, it is the study of individual and group mental process and behavior involved in individuals and group interact, and the mental process involved in these interactions between two people or more people. And sociology, the study of society, social interaction, and social institutions, as well as the rules and process that bind and separate people as members of groups, associations, and institutions. So these are some of the key points discussed. Okay. So we have discussed the person, situation, interaction. We discussed definitions of psychology, and we discussed about social situation and social norms. We discussed about the cultural differences, and we discussed about the definitions and social perception, sociology, views of psychology. So, perspectives of psychology, there are different perspectives in psychology. One is psychodynamic perspective, biological perspective, psychodynamic, biological, behavioral perspective, or cognitive perspective is there. The psychodynamic theory studies the psychological forces underlying human behavior, feelings, and emotions. It's a branch of study in psychology regarding the underlying factors affecting behavior in a person, especially the subconscious mind. That is, we have some experiences in our lives, and childhood experiences are there, and daily we have some kind of experiences which actually goes through in our mind that affects our behavior in a certain way. That is called psychodynamic perspective. And psychodynamic perspective, this particular concept was created by Sigmund Freud, and also the term psychoanalysis was created by Sigmund Freud. Later, many theories were developed by other researchers. This particular concept was developed in the year 1940s and 50s, and slowly it was applied into human research. And under this concept, there is a model, Freud's model divides the personality into three parts: id, ego, and the superego. Id is the unconscious part of your mind, that is your aggression, behavior, sexual interest. So other things, it's an unconscious part of your mind. And ego, it's a conscious as well as unconscious part of your mind, and which its role is to maintain contact with the outside world to keep the individual in touch with the society. And superego, it's similarly like ego. It has both the conscious and unconscious elements, and it develops early in our life and learns from parents, teachers, and others. So each person may have all these three personalities. So if all these personality are in the dynamic equilibrium, then the individual is thought to be mentally healthy. However, if it is unable to mediate between the id and the superego, then we can say that person is having imbalance or he has some psychological distress. Next, we'll move on to the behavioral perspective. So behaviorism is an approach to psychology, and it's emerged in the 20th century, and it focuses on the observable over behaviors, that is, which we learn from the environment. Psychodynamic perspective is the personality of a character, and behavioral perspective is the behaviors that are learned from the environment, and it is usually studied to understand the mental problems, and learning is seen as a behavioral change molded by experiences, and the primary researchers in these areas are Ivan Paul, John Watson, Edward Lee, and Skinner. Then comes the cognitive perspective. Cognitive perspective examines the internal mental process such as problem solving skills, memory, language. We can say it's about intelligence. So cognition refers to thinking and memory process, and cognitive development refers to long-term changes in the process. And much of the work derived from cognitive psychology has integrated into other modern disciplines of psychological study, such as social psychology, personality psychology, abnormal psychology, developmental psychology, education psychology, and behavioral economics. And the major areas of research in cognitive psychology include perception, memory, categorization, knowledge, representation, language, and other things. Then comes the humanistic approach. So humanistic approach, humanism and humanism are terms in psychology relating to approach which studies the whole person and the uniqueness of each individual. That is, it studies about the individual behavior of a person's self characteristics. It is nothing to do with the environment. It studies about the individual person's characteristics. So I have given an example for humanistic approach, that is the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So he has mentioned that for every human being, we have 5 basic needs, that is physiological needs, safety needs, love needs, esteem needs, and self-actualization needs. So first and foremost is the basic need. So for any human being, that is the foremost important need, that is the basic need, food, shelter, and clothing. Without that, we cannot survive in the society. So once it is fulfilled, the basic need is fulfilled, next we look for a safety need, that is the security and protection of our family members for us. And then we need an emotional need. So once the basic needs and the safety needs are fulfilled, next you require emotional need, that is your relationship with your family members, with your friends, the environment. Okay, the love and belongingness. We need emotional needs. And then next the esteem need. That is, once you achieve a particular position in the society, you need a esteem need, a standard of living and respect in the society and other things. Once the esteem need is fulfilled, the last need is the self-actualization need. So each individual person has their own needs, and this all fit into this particular hierarchy. So humanistic psychology is a psychological perspective that emphasizes the study of whole person. Look at whole human behavior, not only through the eyes of the observer, but through the eyes of the person doing the behavior. That is the self-image. The individual's behavior connected to the inner feelings and self-image. This perspective centers on the view that each person is unique and individual and has a free will to change at any time in his or her life. Next comes the biological psychology. So biological perspective states that all thoughts, feelings, and behavior definitely have a biological cause. This is one of the major perspectives in psychology, and it involves such things as brain activity, genetics, hormones, and the immune nervous system. All matters in the behavior. That is about biological psychology. So we have seen the different perspectives of psychology, that is psychodynamic approach, biological approach, humanistic approach, and cognitive approach. So all these perspectives have certain kind of influence in the human behaviors and their thought process and feelings. Okay, that's all for today's discussion. Thank you.